In today's video, we are going to compare two of the most famous guns in Unturned, which are the Maplestrike and the Zubeknakov. We will go over the basics where we'll discuss everything that there is to know about it, including attachments, damage, range, recoil patterns, and much more. And let's get started. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the basics of the Maplestrike. First of all, the Maplestrike attachments are barrels, tacticals, and scopes, and the barrels have to be military. So the muzzle, suppressors, and barrels have to be from military. The damage it gives to players is 44 to the head, 32 to the body, and 24 to the limbs. As for zombie damage, this does give 109 to the head, 59 to the body, and 30 to the limbs. This takes military drums, military magazines, tracer, fragmentation, and Suskever magazines, and this mainly can be found in military locations in PI. As for other maps such as Washington, you can only get this from airdrops. The RPM is 499 and the range is 200 meters. Now let's get over to the recoil. The minimum horizontal recoil is minus 0.5 and the maximum is 0.5. And as for the vertical recoil, the minimum is 3 and the maximum is 4. The aim and duration is 0.25. and the spread aim is 0.05. This weapon in reality is based off the Colt Canada C7A2 rifle. Now let's go over to the basics of the Zubeknakov. The Zubeknakov takes all types of attachments, and the barrels they have to be Ranger, but they take tactical, grips, and sights. The damage that it gives is 40 to the head, 29 to the body, and 22 to the limbs. The zombie damage is 109 to the head, 59 to the body, and 30 to the limbs. This does take Ranger drums and Ranger magazines. And the default magazine comes with 35 rounds. This weapon is more common than the Maplestrike, and it can be found at Ranger locations in PI, Washington, and in Germany. And in Russia, you can find this at military locations. The RPM is 600 and the range is 200 meters. As for the recoil, the minimum horizontal recoil is 1 and the maximum is 2. And the vertical minimum recoil is 2.5 and the maximum is 3.5. The aim and duration is 0.25 and the spread aim is 0.033. And this weapon in reality is based off the AK-47. Now something else that I did do before this tutorial was I posted a poll on the Liam Does Game channel asking which weapon do you guys prefer. Now this poll that is showing right now is the one before the grip update on the Maplestrike. So this poll is showing your preferences before the grip was removed from the Maplestrike, and this one now is showing the poll results after the grip update. I do think that a lot of people aren't even aware that the Maplestrike lost its grip, so I do think that a lot of people still prefer the Maplestrike because of that reason. Now let's do the comparison. First things first, let's go over to the attachments. Now the attachments for this one, I would prefer the Zubeknakov. Zubeknakov does take all the attachments. The Maplestrike, as you guys obviously know now, they don't take any grips. As for the damage, the Maplestrike is slightly higher, and as for the zombie damage, it is the same for both weapons. As for the ammunition, finding ammunition for military is much easier on any map since there are more locations that you can get military locations. As for finding the weapon though, the Maplestrike does only spawn on PI, making the Zubeknakov much more easier to find since it spawns on all of the maps. As for the RPM, the Zubeknakov does shoot much faster, having 101 more rounds per minute. As for the range, it is completely the same. And as for the recoil, without any attachments on both weapons, the Maplestrike is easier to control. Me personally, I would think that the Zubeknakov is the better weapon. Since it is easier to find, it has a higher RPM, takes grips. The only downside to this is that most map is limited place to find the Zubeknakov. So for example, for PI, you can only find it at Radio Towers or at Holman Island. And on Washington, you can only find this at Banks, Sunken Submarine, or at the Heritage Valley. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to test the recoil with max sharpshooter, but no attachments for each of these weapons. So let's start off with the Zubeknakov. And as you may see, it is a bit of a mess. But now let's try with the Maplestrike. The Maplestrike will also have no attachments. And as you may see, the Maplestrike is much easier to control. And that is it for this video. I really hope that you guys did learn something new. Let me know which is your favorite from these two weapons. Personally, I still think the Zubeknakov is better, just for the fact that now you can take a grip, so the recoil can be easily managed. It has a higher RPM, and it is easier to find. But I would like to know what you guys think. Let me know if there's any other comparisons you would guys like to see. For example, a Timberwolf versus an Echo. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!